Good evening, Bahamas, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. I'm Shasheena Rolle. Thank you for tuning in. Topping news, the island of Grand Bahama is the site of a two-day symposium hosted by the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants at the Pelican Bay Resort. This morning, during the opening session, participants heard from the president of that organization, who addressed several issues facing that body. Joan Davis-Roll reports.
There's a call being made for accountability and transparency among those in the accounting profession in the country. Making the appeal is Grand Bahama native and the first female president of the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants, Jasmine Davis.
BICA is the self-regulatory body for the profession in the Bahamas. And I don't think sometimes that we view the Institute as being a regulator. If it is that we as accountants, one, do not respect the Institute in terms of what it is that it represents and the obligations that it has to discharge. Two, become more involved in terms of growing the Institute in terms of ideas, responding to technical matters, looking at how it is that we are the foundation for every single industry in the Bahamas.
The introduction of new legislation to govern the industry, she says, is a major goal of that organization.
We met with the legislative arm of the Attorney General's office, and since the act was put into place in 1991, there have been many resolutions, many amendments, those sorts of things. And actually the legislation itself is very prescriptive, and it has tied our hands in terms of the things that we need to do to grow the Institute and to move forward and to be responsive to the regional and international standards that continuously change. And what we were advised to do is to actually do something very drastic, which is repeal the act and to use other legislations within the region.
BICA, she notes, has taken a proactive approach when it comes to job opportunities for Bahamian accountants.
We've been informed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Fred Mitchell, that as far as possible, the Institute will be notified when there are work permit applications to fill positions that require the skills and expertise of qualified accountants.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Well, it's been 10 months since the Progressive Liberal Party became the government of the Bahamas. Despite implementing a ministry for Grand Bahama for the first time and revamping the urban renewal program, a member of the opposition contends that very little has been done to revitalize the economy of Grand Bahama. Newcomer to politics and Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama Peter Turnquest says, despite the government's many promises during the campaign trail, very little has been done so far to resuscitate Grand Bahama's ailing economy.
I am certainly pleased that the Sunwing project seems to be going, and we certainly hope for the best in respect to that. But other than that, we don't know of anything that's really happening. All of the plans for reducing the electrical cost, we don't hear any more about that. We don't hear any more about the parks and all of these other features that are supposed to be put in place. The doubling of the investment in education, we don't hear anything about that. And so there are a lot of promises that were made, and certainly we haven't seen it yet.
He contends that the Minister for Grand Bahama's contribution during the mid-year budget only restated promises that were already made. Now, back in October, Hurricane Sandy caused much damage to many residents, and Turnquest claims that while those persons were promised help from the government, that is yet to happen.
Hurricane Sandy, there was relief that was promised to those people who incurred damages and were not in a position to make the necessary repairs themselves. To date, they have received nothing.
And while the urban renewal program has been lauded by the government as having much success, particularly on Grand Bahama, Turnquest disagrees.
Anybody can have a luncheon. Anybody can go around and identify an issue. It's how we're going to fix it in a sustainable fashion. And I think that's what's missing from this whole equation. You know, where is the studies that shows that the activities and the funding that we're investing is going to have some kind of sustainable impact?
The MP for East Grand Bahama says he will monitor the progress of urban renewal and shares how the opposition plans to measure the success of the program.
One of the things that we will be looking at as we go into the new budget is the result. What is the achievable, markable result that we can base the success of this program, such that we can, as a parliament, be comfortable in authorizing a further investment in that program, because to invest in a program just to say you have a program doesn't help anybody. All it does is waste valuable, scarce Bahamian dollars.
Well, the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Honorable Dr. Michael Darville, is responding to those criticisms.
Well, Mr. Turnquest has his own political agenda, and that's fine. But the reality is, when you investigate what's really happening on the ground and the facts that surround what is happening in Grand Bahama, he can easily be proven wrong. As far as Hurricane Sandy is concerned, the government has now put in place the necessary resources. It's here in Grand Bahama. The work for the support for the elderly, the indigent, as well as the unemployed will start effectively Monday. And the residents of Grand Bahama who were affected by Hurricane Sandy will actually see some tangible support on the ground. So I beg to differ with him, but at the end of the day, the government will proceed and move forward with its agenda. We had a very successful 15th annual business outlook yesterday, and if you read the paper this morning, there is a report in the paper which clearly outlined that small businesses are up and going in Grand Bahama. The future looks bright. The Ministry of Grand Bahama is definitely an instrumental and definitely an important tool to make it happen. We are very busy on the ground, and we are proud of the successes that we have made thus far. We must take into consideration if the element of politics come in. The last administration had the wheel in their hand for 5 years, and the state of Grand Bahama as we speak today is a clear reflection of the fact of failed policies.
Well, Minister Darville says the government is pleased with the progress made since coming to office. He says urban renewal has been both effective and productive.
Direct foreign investment is expressing great interest. Mr. Ian Faird clearly outlined what the future is for Grand Bahama as far as direct foreign investment. And I encourage Mr. Turnquest to please come to us and outline some of the bright ideas him and his government have so we could move forward. We are a government willing to hear from every direction. We know Grand Bahama has its challenges, and if he has some excellent ideas, I will be glad if he would come and share them with us rather than trying to bring down what we're trying to accomplish here in Grand Bahama. Our support of the elderly, the poor, the unemployed is not a waste of taxpayers' money. People are hurting in Grand Bahama, and urban renewal is doing an excellent job in Grand Bahama in bringing relief to those who are hurting. Yes, there needs to be more resources placed in the hands of urban renewal, but due to the physical constraints and the fact that the country is in a very difficult position at this time, more resources that we would like to put into urban renewal, we are trying to find the physical room to bring them in. I'm very proud of the program here on Grand Bahama, and I'm proud of the entire team of the Urban Renewal Department on Grand Bahama. Even in Mr. Turnquest's constituency, people in High Rock are being assisted as a result of this program.
Well, East Grand Bahama was the hot spot today as fire crews were called to investigate 2 separate fires in that district. The first erupted in the High Rock community, and several minutes later, firemen were called to Pelican Point, where the blaze came dangerously close to several homes in the small settlement. 2 abandoned government buildings were destroyed by the fire. We spoke with homeowner Clarice Bell, who watched as the fire threatened her home.
Teacher resident was destroyed with fire. I tried to call for the fire engine. No fire engine show up. After I didn't get no fire engine, I decided to call ZNS. So ZNS came, and the fire engine came the same time the ZNS came. When they came, the fire was just about out. It's a good thing I cleared my property the other day.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if I didn't clear my property, then I would have been fire. And look at me, I'm handicapped. You understand? Yes. I can't run around. So we need a fire engine in Easton desperately.
Now, fire crews are continuing their investigations into both fires. Well, a special invitation is extended to members of the Grand Bahama community to attend a service of Thanksgiving in honor of the country's 40th anniversary of independence. The church service, to take place this Sunday at 3 p.m. at St. John's Jubilee Cathedral, will officially launch a series of events in honor of independence. Co-chair of the Grand Bahama Planning Committee, Mary Calmer, says the nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, will be in attendance.
We are very elated that the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie, Prime Minister, has adjusted his schedule to now join us at this church service. He has considered the great importance of it, and we look forward to the entire Grand Bahama community joining us on Sunday as we pause to give God thanks first before we proceed with our calendar of events leading up to July 10th as the Bahamas get set to celebrate the 40th independence of this great nation.
Now, the committee plans to hold a series of Tell Us town meetings beginning next week as they seek to identify persons who have helped with the growth and development of this country over the past 40 years. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, continues right after this.